Okay, so let's react to Super Saturday as it happened. I'm calling it Super Saturday because the last round, all the games in the Premiership happened at the same time, and we had 6 sides fighting for those semi-final spots. Now, as it happened, it stayed as it was, but it did get very exciting. I'm going to talk about the sides in general over the season and how I think they're going to do in the semi-finals. Talk about some of the things that came up, some of the players as well, and let me know what you thought of Super Saturday, as I'm calling it. Really exciting, had all the games up on the screen, trying to go between the 3, the 4, the 5 sometimes of the games and say how it transpired. So yeah, let's get stuck into it. And there were a few wrinkles where Bath fielded a complete second string side against Saracens. Leicester were always likely to be comfortable against Newcastle. I say comfortable, Newcastle put in a typical hard-working performance, but Leicester just too strong. So they got an easy home semi. So those 2 games I didn't look at too much, but the other 3, they were super exciting. Exeter really upped their game against Sale and gave them a real shock. And Bristol Harlequins was always going to be throwing the ball around all over the place, with Bristol likely to be better at doing that, and were, but Harlequins still scored some good tries without winning, which kind of sums up their season as well. And Gloucester Northampton, well, Gloucester just about got it done with loads of great tries, but they're never quite convincing. And against Northampton, who are resting a stack of players as well, understandably not playing their Lions players, it would be harsh to risk the greatest moment in their career on this game, which is essentially meaningless. But Northampton did okay, but Gloucester just about do what they needed to do, but it wasn't enough in the end as well. So I spent the first 5 minutes of this Super Saturday watching Bristol versus Harlequins, as I saw that as a real key game. And the Bears started absolutely on fire. Perfect balance of skill, pace and balance. We had a lovely break and offload from O'Grey, or no-look pass from O'Grey for a Gloucester try. Then Joe Batley, a really powerful finish. Both of those guys are currently in the England squad at the moment, so let's see if they stay there. And they did a really good job in trying to stay there in this game. So 14-0 up in an absolute flash. You always thought Harlequins were going to score some tries, but essentially that kind of start set the precedent for the game. And yeah, Bristol were always slightly better. Then I look up a bit shocked to see Saracens conceding the first try, but no, losing 5-7, I was still kind of expecting them to come back into it, which they did. Gloucester Saints started pretty close and was pretty close all the way through, really. So I've got these games running on the screen, and then I see Brown Bampo streaking in for Exeter. And Exeter, of course, they've changed their coaching setup, going back to Rob Baxter as the head coach, and it's definitely improved them, and they got very close here. The pace guys of Hodge and Brown Bampo, super impressive in that game. Is it going to be enough to get them on a summer tour for England? That's going to be very interesting indeed. Quins have kind of recovered from the early onslaught 20 minutes in, and Benton actually created a try, but then also rushed out of the line, created a terrible dog leg, which Bristol completely cut apart. Ravovo slices them there, and Bristol starting to actually look pretty good 20 minutes in. And indeed, a few minutes later, Quins struggling to deal with the power of Bristol, and they struggle with power all season. It's a set play off a scrum. Ravovo carries 3 Quins tacklers 5 metres back, and then Bill Matter pounds through to get the bonus point try already, which Bristol often do. And yeah, even though Quins scored some good tries, they've got to find some more stopping power next season. 26-7 after 23 minutes, not looking good for them, as the Bears' attack is slicing them apart, and the power as well. And at the same time, Sale was starting to settle down a little bit. Extra enthusiastic, but really good quick ball from Quirk, starting to cut them apart a bit. Some power runners, and eventually Matty White walks in. He looks like a power centre, Argentinian bound as well, as that multi-phase, and Exeter just melt away. So you're starting to think Sale might take control of that one. 5-13 at that point. On the half hour, I flick the attention back to the Gloucester game, and Christian Wade, whilst backtracking, plucks an amazing interception out of the sky. Classic Christian Wade. A bit of a lesson for the young Saints, as they're pretty loose passes cost tries, and that happened a bit in that game, although they kept on going. So that was 17-14 at that point. Then eyes back to the Sale game on the half hour, and George Ford is doing what George Ford does, popping players through holes, and Reed is through with a 2-on-1 for Rod to score. score. So that is 5:20 at that point on the half hour, and it's looking like Sale are going to be pretty comfortable. Harlequins are scoring a few points back, which never really gets them fully in touch, but impressive from Caden Murley as he turns matter inside out, then gasses a couple more for a brilliant score. Bristol well up, but that's a good indication from Murley to say, I want to go on a summer tour as well. So that back three, battle for the summer tour for England is really close, I think. Yeah, more loose stuff from Northampton, flapping balls back in the air. Enthusiastic but naive Freddie Thomas acrobatically feeds Lions bound Thomas Williams for a good try. That is the bonus point for Gloucester, 22-14, but they can never really dominate the game. And then when they're defending their own line, Fazgabon in desperation concedes a yellow card, which proves to be pretty costly. So as we move into the second halves, it's Exeter that explode into life, so much more intent in their game under Baxter back as their head coach, and they open up with a monster 22-phase team attack looking really good until Raffi Quirk absolutely munches a cover tackle to save the day. I mean, he could be England's next big nine. Did make a couple of kicking mistakes in this game, which kind of sums him up at the moment, and you can see how he gets injured flying into everything. So definitely 50-50 on Raffi Quirk at the moment, but he could become an England nine, but I think it's up in the air. But some exciting stuff from him in that game for sure. The Bristol Harlequins game continues to be end-to-end breath of stuff, of course. Harlequins slice through with Sean Kerr on 5 minutes into the second half, but then they lose the ball. Of course, you're on for the counter-attack when you attack the way Quins do, and they go from deep to Bristol. Ravovo Van Rensburg burst down the left before they swing back to the right, and Ibitoy walks it in. So yeah, it's good attack from Quins, but loose fast attack is perfect for Bristol, and they don't have the punch to back up a different type of play, so that is their issue. That's 31-12, and it's looking pretty good from Bristol then on in. But interestingly, Exeter have dominated the opening of their second half against Sale, against 14 men now. Messy attack from them, but just one huge pass from Slade, and we're unmarked on the edge with Hodge, and he streaks in, and it's getting interesting. 12-20. So a few nerves begin to show for Sale at this point, and it definitely affects them. They never really get back into their full flow. Gloucester are scoring some good tries, and Santi Carreras is absolutely at the middle of both of their next two tries, which takes it to 36-21. Bursts, passes on the move, but he's going next season. He's going to be sorely missed. Wade's going, so massive exodus. And I'll go through all the comings and goings from the Premiership teams at some point in the near future. But exciting tries from Gloucester without full control ever, and that's pretty much them. Quins have actually got themselves a bonus point on 52 minutes. Flick offloads everywhere. Jabulu with a really telling one, but he's off to Sale, so that's a big loss for them. It's not all over, but it still looks like Bristol are fairly comfortable in their crazy style. Northampton in defence are starting to struggle a bit with the ruck pace of Gloucester, but in attack they continue to come on, so that young, disrupted Northampton team do pretty well, to be honest. But for Exeter, we are seeing some real intent and pace from Josh Hodge. Goodness me, he's so good. He just bursts wide, easily draws the last man, and gives in a try. That yellow card period is up, but they've maximised it. They're back to 19-23, so just a few points in it, and it's really squeaky bum time for Sale. And Exeter actually go over the line again. Dan Frost probably should score, but just loses control of the ball, so that's a massive let-off for Sale, and they did have a few let-offs in this game, that's for sure. But finally, with less than 20 minutes to go, Sale just about break the stranglehold with some good mauling, just some basics. 20-metre maul and a penalty gets them out of their half. Then two more big mauls and some penalties, and eventually they squeeze over. Cowan-Dickey getting that try to break the spell, that purple patch. No, it's not flash, but was very necessary from Sale there. So just basic forward power and good execution. 19-30 with about 15 to go. I mean, Quins are breaking the gain line occasionally, looking sharp, but then a really good run-around play from McGinty is all that it needs to really seal that game, with Ibitoy pushing Bristol to the semi there. So that is 45-26 with 15 to go. They were never really troubled after that. Gloucester in the last 10 minutes are throwing the ball around, but largely in their own half. They're getting the ball to Wade, but he's making a few mistakes as well. They are very loose, and Saints continue to attack into the last 10 minutes. Then a possible massive swing in the Sale Exeter game as Gus Waugh gets man and ball, and it looks like it creates a try for Aaron Reid, but he's so upright in the tackle, always dangerous. I'll talk about that again another time. The upright tackle is what they're coached to do, but he catches ahead, so it's a yellow card, and Sale are in real trouble. So another massive let-off for Sale there, but on the next attack it's 2 too much. It's a simple inside ball. A Sale just can't drift off a ruck, and Capstick finishes nicely. Hodge is on fire in this game with a wide conversion. He certainly outshone Carpenter in this game, that is for sure. So they need to get an unconverted try with 4 minutes to go, and they're looking the most likely to score. And in the very last play of that game, Exeter have the ball on halfway. If they score, they put Sale out, but they put the pass into touch, and Sale crawl into the semi-finals. So that was the Super Saturday. Really exciting. Let me know what you thought of it. But we finished with Bath, a home semi. They were always going to be comfortable fielding that second string side, so they're fresh for the semis. They're going to take on Bristol in the West Country clash. And then just a word on the two sides that also won but just didn't make it. Gloucester, probably just a bit too loose at times, don't have that control of their game. So I think it's just about right they didn't get in the semi-final. And Saracens, they'll be the ones looking back and saying, we probably should have been there, because in round 17 we had that last minute loss to Northampton, and that probably scuppered it for them, or they probably would be there. So they can be really gutted this season. How do I think it's going to go? Well, I do think Bath will have too much for Bristol, but it's going to be a cracking game. They just need to shackle them, control the game, kick the corners, defend like champions, and then they should have too much. If Bristol can cut loose, who knows? But you've got to say Bath are massive favourites there. And then the muscle guys, Leicester versus Sale. I think maybe the home advantage gets it there. I think they're very evenly matched. Sale, I was expecting more in this last round, and they look pretty vulnerable. If they can get going, they've got an all-round game if they want it. If they go back to just power, then Leicester are the team to stop them probably. So home team win there, and we have another classic matchup. The old-school two strongest teams, Bath versus Leicester, in the final at Twickenham. Going to be an absolute cracker. So let me know what your predictions would be and everything you made of the final round of the Premiership. Do like, do subscribe. That would be amazing, and I'll catch you next time.